Hello everyone. In this match we're going to be showcasing week 7 of the PAC League for Sword and Shield. This is going to be the final week of the season, and my opponent for it is actually going to be Fin and the Pallet Paladins. So this is the final week of the season, like I mentioned already, and whether we make the playoffs or not, I think is all dependent on the outcome of this match, obviously. If I win this match, I definitely make the playoffs. However, if I lose it, depending on how badly I lose it, I could actually miss out on the playoffs. But this also means that if I don't lose too badly, I could just barely scrape the playoffs, basically. Like, I can barely scrape my way into the playoffs, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. Like, well, you know, the primary goal is to win, basically, but given how I've been losing these past few matches, I'm kind of starting to lose faith in my ability to win against anybody right now. So I think the goal here is just to try not to lose very badly here, so that I can at least make the playoffs and maybe get another match, and if possible maybe even win that match and have more than 3 wins as opposed to the 3 that I just have right now, you know. But anyways, here are the teams. He has the Sand Core in Excadrill and T-Tar, so that's pretty obnoxious already. He has a Garchomp, he has a Gardevoir, and he has a Sableye. Now, oh yeah, and the Scizor, of course. How can I forget about the Scizor? The Scizor is also a threat. Everything on this guy's team is a threat, actually. So here, right out of the gate, here I am also in another conundrum. The lead. What am I gonna lead this time? Hopefully it's not something that it's gonna be unfavorable, because otherwise I'm already gonna be starting in this match with a disadvantage, obviously, and that's not gonna help me win this match, obviously. But here we go. Looking at his team, I want to believe that he's gonna lead with a Tyranitar, cause, you know, just to get the sand up, obviously, and maybe chip down every time I switch out a certain mon after every turn or something. So I was thinking that maybe the Tyranitar would be the switch, or would be the lead, not the switch, the lead, obviously, damn it. So because of that, I decided to lead with the Steelix, obviously, to kind of just take down that Tyranitar, or at least threaten it, so he can switch out, obviously, and maybe I can get my rocks up that way. However, as you can see right here, that's not going to work out for me at all, because this dude leads off with the Garchomp, and that's not a good matchup for Steelix. Why am I not surprised that this once again happens? I lead terribly again. I don't know. Maybe I should have led with the Tangrowth, but I think I was fearing that Scizor to come in, honestly, so maybe that's why I didn't lead with that, obviously. So maybe this was just one of those 50-50s again that I had to guess right, and unfortunately I just guessed it wrong yet again. How do you like them apples? But yeah, so obviously this is not a good matchup for me, so I had to switch out immediately. And hopefully he doesn't go for anything crazy, obviously, like Swords Dance, because that's also a possibility on Garchomp. He's thankfully just going to go for the Earthquake. Because of the straight out attack, honestly, I kind of wanted to believe that this might be a choice variant of Garchomp. So because of that, I decided to stay in and go for the Leech Seed, on the off chance he decides to switch in, or switch out. Switch in, jeez. But yeah, unfortunately, he actually ends up not being a choice variant, and actually ends up going for the Toxic here. So that's actually kind of bad, because now my Tangrowth is on a timer, and I feel like this Tangrowth could have been useful for the Sand Core that this guy has, honestly. With this Toxic, now I'm just it's gonna become very, very difficult, basically, to deal with it, obviously. But here we go. So I'm gonna get recovery from the Leech Seed. Here, I believe I'm considering switching out, but I think what I decided to do instead is just go for another Leech Seed on the off chance he now wants to switch it out. Because usually when I go for the Leech Seed, most people usually want to switch out, actually, so they don't keep getting so they don't keep giving Tangrowth HP recovery, because the last thing you want is a healthy Tangrowth. Here, he ends up staying in and goes for the Poison Jab again, so that's kind of why he didn't switch out at all, which was what I was hoping for. So because of that, I think here's where I decide to switch out. I forgot into what though. It might have actually been the Steelix though. Because I think what I wanted to do right here was actually bait him to go for Earthquake as soon as I send in the Steelix. I was just kind of fearing that he might go for the Earthquake now, just to predict something. But I still went by Steelix anyway, just because I really wanted to believe that he wasn't going to go for the Earthquake right here. However, he himself ends up switching out, and he does end up going into the Excadrill, which is kind of odd because he hasn't actually gone into Tyranitar yet to send up the Sandstorm. However, this double switch kind of made me feel like, you know what, I should probably just stay in and go for like rocks or something, because maybe now he's gonna try to predict me and actually go for like maybe Stealth Rocks himself, because Excadrills do run Stealth Rocks as well actually. So yeah, that was a possibility. So if he was gonna get his rocks up with this thing, I could get my rocks up as well. Instead of going for the rocks, he actually ends up doing what I didn't expect him to do, and that was go for the Rapid Spin, which is scary now that I think about it, because this raises its speed, obviously, which means he doesn't even need the freaking Tyranitar to actually get fast and whatnot. So, holy damn. And because of this, obviously, I decided to just, you know, go into Runerigus as opposed to the Tangrowth. I think the reason why I did this was because I was kind of fearing the X-Scissor. Like, I was afraid he would predict me and go for the X-Scissor if I switch into Tangrowth. So because of that, I went into Runerigus, and I kind of thought I'd be able to take the Earthquake well too, honestly. Even with the Life Orb, obviously. But yeah, unfortunately, because I never did my calcs on these shits, obviously, I ended up taking this damage. And if I try to like send this in again, I might actually not be able to do anything with this Runerigus now, since it took more than half from that Earthquake, which is terrible. And I think here now I actually go into the Tangrowth now, just to see what he wants to do now after the Earthquake, if he chooses to go for another one. But here we go. This guy's thinking. I'm gonna switch out, obviously. Go into Tangrowth. I'm hoping he doesn't have the X-Scissor. He does still play it safe and go for the Earthquake again. I believe here, I think I try to go for Leech Seed again. I don't remember. But let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go for the Giga Drain here. I don't think he stays in though. I think he's gonna want to switch out into possibly the Scizor, since it's like the one thing that does resist Giga Drain, and in return he can threaten the U-turn and get switch initiative that way. I think that's what he's gonna go for right here. Yeah, he's gonna switch this out. Okay. He is gonna go into Scizor. Okay. It seems like he's gonna do exactly what I just mentioned earlier. So, yeah. However, I think I don't stay in to take this U-turn actually. I think what I end up doing is actually switching out. And I think it's to the Steelix again. Yeah, it's the Steelix. Which is kind of bad for me because if he goes for the U-turn, obviously, he's just gonna freaking, you know, get switch initiative, obviously. But I didn't want to take a U-turn with this on this Tangrowth basically, because I feel like Tangrowth is still pretty useful for that Sand Core basically. If it even is a Sand Core, because like I said before, that Rapid Spin kind of like makes it so that he doesn't even need to rely on Tyranitar to get like some form of speed boost and whatnot. It's not the same as +1 speed from the Rapid Spin, but you know, it's still speed, and whatever I have on my team is probably slower than the Excadrill after +1 speed, so yeah. But anyways, he is gonna send out the Excadrill now. Because of this free switch in, I actually try to stay in once again, basically thinking he played it safe earlier. Do you think he'd play it safe again, or would he actually try to make a call out right here? And unfortunately, no. He still plays it pretty safe and actually goes for the Earthquake, and unfortunately, I end up losing Steelix. And this is kind of bad because this thing could have also helped me handle the Tyranitar as well by going for Heavy Slam. And now I don't have it. So here, obviously, I'm like in a tight situation already. I think what I decide to go into here is the Tangrowth, because Tangrowth is literally the only thing that could take a hit from this thing at this point. So that's what I'm going to do basically. I think what I'm going to do here finally is just go for the Giga Drain, because I actually want to start damaging this thing. And I think he's going to actually try to go for the Rapid Spin to get rid of the rocks. Yeah, he gets rid of them. However, this doesn't go unpunished basically, because my Tangrowth is actually Rocky Helmet, and he does have Life Orb, so he does take a lot of damage from this. However, annoyingly enough, despite all of that damage, this Giga Drain is still not enough to take it out, which is actually incredibly annoying, because it's like, damn, this thing isn't usually bulky, honestly. Which kind of makes me now wonder if this thing was actually a bulky variant of Excadrill, which kind of would make sense considering the Rapid Spin already boosted speed, honestly. But, I don't know. Either way, to make matters worse here, he actually does turn out to have the Poison Jab for the Tangrowth as well. So, before he goes down to Life Orb, it actually does a lot of damage, honestly. Kind of makes me wish I had Synthesis, so that way I could have just gone for the Synthesis and then just recover after going for that damage, honestly. Although it doesn't matter too much, because I could just switch out to get some Regenerator, obviously. Because most likely right here, what he's going to want to go into is the Scissor. Because again, that thing just threatens the U-turn. And he does go into it, as you can see. Which is terrible for me. I think at this point, because I don't want to lose Tangrowth just yet, I decided to send in Runerigus, because that's like the most disposable mon at this point. Should he make the U-turn play again and send out something accordingly. Like maybe Tyranitar to go for the Crunch or something. So, yeah, Runerigus goes out now. Here we're going to see what we can actually do. If anything. From the looks of it, this Caesar is going to actually go for the Wing Beat, the dual Wing Beat thingy. Which is a move that I've actually not seen before, I think. And I don't even know what the typing of this move is, actually. It sounds like it could be a Dark type move, though. But I actually don't know. Since I actually don't... I didn't do my research on this Scissor. At least not well enough to know about this move. So, yeah. Trick Room, I try to go for it in case he doesn't attack me for some reason. But obviously he's going to do that because what kind of fool would just leave a Runerigus attacking, you know, on the loose and whatnot. Certainly not this guy, that's for certain. He's certainly prepared well for me, obviously. If all those poison jabs on his mons for my Tangrowth weren't obvious already. But anyway, here, obviously I'm clearly getting frustrated at this point because this guy's actually like getting the upper hand on me on literally every play I make. So because of that, I decided to send in this Blaziken now and try to set up and sweep this guy already. Because I think this is the opportunity to do so, given that he took out one of my mons and it's a Scizor, so I should probably send in Blaziken so that way I can scare him away. I get the Swords Dance up and then I can start attacking. I think +2 is literally all I need, so I can actually destroy this guy's team basically, even though he's at +6. And with the speed boost, anything that's Scarfed in this team, I'm just going to outspeed it by then, obviously. So this was the opportunity I was waiting for, to just put this guy away. I was thinking of going just straight for the attack, but nah, I felt like going for the Swords Dance was ultimately the right play here. And he is going to switch out, and he's going to go into Sableye. Now, this is where things take a drastic turn, and unfortunately it is for the worse, for me at least, because you know how I've mentioned that I haven't been doing my research on a lot of these mons with brand new moves, or even moves that probably have been there for a while now but I've just never seen them on the mon, so therefore it never occurs to me that they could have it. Well, this Sableye is basically the example of that in Generation 8 for me at least, because as you can see, he just went for the Encore, which at the time I didn't really think much of it, honestly. I just thought, oh, so he's just going to lock me into this? What if I try going for it again? If he tries to Encore me again, I just switch out and repeat the process again anyway. At the end of the day, a lot of what he has on his team isn't actually going to appreciate Blaziken anyway, so I felt like I didn't really lose much going for another Sword Dance here. However, just like I didn't expect him to have Encore, here's another move that I also didn't expect him to have, even though it does make sense considering its typing. But he ends up having the freaking Foul Play, which is a move, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen on Sableye. And because of it, it never really occurred to me that he could actually have it, honestly. Even though I probably should have, considering this is a draft league, but I just didn't think of it actually. I was expecting Knockoff, Toxic, Metal Burst, but I did not think Knock or Foul Play, honestly. Like, holy damn. This was obviously hands down the worst play I've ever made. Because honestly, if I knew this thing had the Foul Play, or if it at least occurred to me that it would have Foul Play, I could have just easily avoided this, honestly. But because I didn't, this is obviously the worst play I've ever made in my entire Pokemon Draft League battling career, ever. If we can even call it that anyway. So, like, damn. But anyway, I'm going to send in Tangrowth now. I'm going to go for Leech Seed so I can kind of like get HP back in. After this, I'm going to go for the knockoff just so that I can see what items I might knock off from either the Sableye or for the whatever he switches out. Because there's also the possibility he might want to switch out given that I Leech Seeded this thing. My opponent is thinking about it, obviously. So he definitely is considering switching out, obviously. Now here, I believe he switches back into the Scissor. Yeah, he does. So here, I'm going to knock this thing off, I believe. And from the looks of it, he does have a Choice Band. So I was rightfully fearing that U-turn this whole time. Because that could have probably taken me out from where I was earlier when I matched up Tangrowth with this Scissor, actually. So, yeah. But obviously, I still don't want to lose this Tangrowth. So I'm going to switch out, obviously, into the next Pokemon that can resist hit from Scissor. And it's the Volcanion, basically. I did say resist, right? I hope so, because otherwise I'd be a fool. But anyways, yeah. He's going to go for the dual Wing Beat as opposed to the U-turn. Probably because he knows that the matchups of the mons that he has left right now are not going to appreciate Volcanion. So, yeah. Here, I was considering going for Steam Eruption on the off chance he predicts the Flamethrower and goes into T-Tar. But ultimately, I think I just end up going for the Flamethrower right here, so yeah. Because if the Tyranitar is not Choice Scarf or something, I should be able to outspeed it, since I do believe I invested enough speed on this Volcanion to actually outspeed Tyranitar, so. And Bulky Scizor. And this Scizor, even though it's banded, I don't even think it's speed invested. I think it's actually bulk invested, which kind of makes me definitely want to go for the Flamethrower, as opposed to the Steam Eruption, which probably would have maybe taken it, actually. But yeah, he's going to send in the Sableye, which unfortunately doesn't go down to the Flamethrower. So this is kind of making me want to switch back into Tangrowth just to mess around with it more or something. Or maybe just switch it back out so that I can get the Regenerator and whatnot. So here we go. He's also going to go for the Trick while I do this too. So that's kind of interesting. Especially considering the item I get, which is actually a Lagging Tail. So this kind of makes me glad I actually switched out the Volcanion, actually. Because, you know, that could have probably hampered my last-ditch effort to actually take down the rest of his team without Blaziken. Since it would be slower than the Scizor, it would be slower than the Tyranitar, and then Volcanion would literally be useless at that point. So now, because of that, I decided to switch back in the Volcanion so he doesn't try to trick the Lagging Tail onto me shall I switch it in. Because Prankster will definitely allow it to do that, honestly. So, damn. I kind of dodged the bullet right there, actually. And now I can safely go for the Flamethrower, because I don't think he'll switch in Tyranitar, honestly. He's going to try to go for Trick again, for whatever it's worth. I don't know why he didn't go for the... Oh, actually, because, you know, he probably couldn't actually go for the Foul Play, because I'm going to outspeed it. I'm going to go for the Flamethrower, and this time, it's definitely going to take out the Sableye. So, probably that's why he went for the Trick. Maybe he just didn't want me to have my Heavy Duty Boots. And instead wanted to give me this Rocky Helmet. Which, if his Tyranitar has Stone Edge, then that's not a big deal, honestly. But yeah, now he's going to go into this Gardevoir. And this Gardevoir, I was kind of just hoping it wouldn't have Thunderbolt. So I went for Sludge Wave here on the off chance he doesn't have it and just goes for Psychic or something. Unfortunately for me though, he is going to have the Thunderbolt. And it's going to definitely take out the Volcanion given where I am at HP and whatnot. So that does blow. So now I can't even do anything with Volcanion. I go into Tangrowth here because this thing didn't take any damage, so I need to get some damage beforehand so that I can send in Weavile to take it out. But that's basically all I can do at that point. I go for Knockoff as well just in case this thing is also Scarfed, honestly. And locked into Thunderbolt. Which actually, now that I think about it, would probably be dumb actually. So no, never mind. That was probably a dumb play. Doesn't matter though, because he actually wasn't even Scarfed anyways, and he just switched it up to Moonblast. He did have an Assault Vest, but I'm not going to be able to do anything after taking the Moonblast anyway, because I'm going to go down next turn with this Tangrowth. So, remain a half. After this, I'm going to send out Weavile, and I am going to be able to take out the Gardevoir with an Ice Punch, but that's literally all I can do at that point. From here, I pretty much lose this match because the Scizor, unfortunately, is still there, unfortunately. And this Weavile is full HP, but as you can see, it's not even Focus Sashed. It's actually Heavy Duty Boots because I was expecting rocks to be set up at some point in this match, which never actually ended up happening, crazily enough. Considering, you know, the Tyranitar can get it, Excadrill can get it, but none of these guys ever went for Stealth Rocks, which is actually kind of crazy to me. But yeah, this match was probably the worst one of the whole season, and this was probably the worst loss I've ever taken, honestly, because this loss was definitely preventable. The one with Root was definitely not preventable. That one was like, the opponent was too good, his team was too good, his strategy was too good, and on top of that, I was also misplaying a lot. So it was my fault for the most part, but like, at least my opponent was a formidable opponent. This opponent, yeah, he's good too, but I feel like I could actually hold my own had I made the right plays. And not to mention, had I done a little bit more research on some of the mons, like Scizor and Sableye, I could have probably put myself in a better position if I actually, you know, anticipated the foul play. I could have dodged the bullet once again and switched out the Blaziken and save it for later, but I decided not to do that for some reason. And as you can see, it costed me the game. I lost 3-0, which, again, it's pretty much the same type of loss that I got when I lost to Root, but yeah, I wasn't looking forward to losing that way, honestly, where I actually misplay, honestly, hard due to lack of research. It's a shame, honestly. However, there is good news, though. The good news is that I lost 3-0, and fortunately, that's not terrible of a loss. Like, because of that, I actually just barely inched the playoffs, basically. Like, I barely scratched my way into the playoffs. Now, as for how that is possible, considering I lost the last 4 matches of the season, well, allow me to explain to you that. What happens is that, unlike the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl branch of the PAC League, where it only consisted of 8 participants, with each participant facing 7 different opponents, round robin style, the Sword and Shield side of things actually has 16 participants with the same 7-week season, which means that because the amount of participants is a lot bigger than what it was in the, you know, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl branch, the playoffs pool is actually going to be a lot bigger as well. So rather than it consisting of 4 players making the playoffs, 6 players, hell, even 8 like it was in the NGDL, it's actually going to consist of 10 players in the playoffs bracket, which is, that's kind of huge, honestly. And I can still consider it an accomplishment of me actually finally making the playoffs in Sword and Shield, in a league in Sword and Shield, because I've only made the playoffs in the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl side of the league, but never in the Sword and Shield side. So being able to make it, whether I earned it or not, whether I feel like I earned it or not, it's still quite an accomplishment in my opinion. So yeah. But anyways, that's going to be the whole match for this final week of the season of the PAC League, and yeah, obviously, needless to say, this was, again, my worst match ever. My least favorite match of the season, hands down. In fact, this loss is so terrible that it makes my loss against Root feel like the most honorable match ever or something. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, if you watched this match, thank you for watching it, obviously. If you're looking forward to the matches I have in the future, stay tuned. For now, just take it easy and have yourselves a good one.